I gotta ask you, is there anything prettier than freshly annealed copper? Hi, I'm Bill Butler. It is January 13th, 2018. This is Briseuse de Coeur, the Heartbreaker. This is the second week of working on it. I worked on it last week. If you haven't checked out that video, the video link will be in the description. This tree was worked on last week. All this wiring, whole lot of branch work, and I was left with two questions. Working on the tree on a Sunday night, in a rush, and I had two things I needed to ponder, but I also had 2 days until the next Bonsai meeting of the Greater New Orleans Bonsai Society, and it was their annual silhouette show, so I brought in my deciduous bald cypress. The two questions I had are, do I want a branch here? Okay. Turns out the answer is, well, of course you do. So I had this branch here that is the feeder branch for which I will be doing a thread graft today. The second question had to do, in my head, I don't know if I mentioned it out loud in the video, but the tree is really overbalanced in the back. This is roughly where the back of the pot is, and as you can see, this just comes out even further. Here is what I want to be the top of the tree, all the way up into here. And this guy in the back is going way, way off to the back. And it would be very, very nice if I could take, if this guy was over here and slightly to the back. And by that, I do mean I'm bringing him around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a channel in there. I'm going to carve out the heartwood of this branch. Back a little ways into here, just a little bit. Come in, hardwood there, bring it up a little further, and then right in here, maybe a little further up to get some more torque action, all through here. I'm just going to channel, and then I'm going to fill it with cut paste and wrap it up with vet wrap, wrap it up with wire. One of the things that I'm lucky about with working with bald cypress is that the adventitious buds that are left behind are little small bumps, as opposed to something like, well, a maple, I believe, or an elm, where you've got slightly larger bumps. Because when I drill a hole through here, I would be knocking off these guys. But just the same, I'm going to have a drinking straw on this to protect the buds as I put this through the tree. I've cut the straw along the length of the straw so that I can make this straw fit pretty darn close to what the actual width of the branch is. I can get that nice and tight, so I can get the tightest possible hole there. If you haven't seen thread grafting before, what we're going to do is take a living branch from the very same tree. We're going to drill a hole through where I don't have a branch. I waited for years for something here. It did not come. And then at some point, as the tree fattens up, and bald cypress fatten up rather quickly, as this branch fattens up, it'll get fatter over here than in the back. It'll get fatter over here, merge with the living tissue of the tree, and when I've got a fatter branch on this side than I do in the back, I know that I can remove from the back there. So let's figure out right now where we want the branch. Future branch is going to look very nice right there. It'll have some sort of angle to it, but I can bend that up just a little bit after it goes through the hole, so I don't have to be super precise on the angle. So now I just need to give myself a little gauge that is very, very precise, but does not give me any wiggle room to get the straw through and the buds through. I mean, I could pull that through if I didn't care about the cambium. This is just slightly larger. Of course, many of you would say ideally it's going to be at the furthest point, but that's still just a little too close to the top there. So I'm going to come down just a little lower than that, and by bending it up, I will create the new outside of the curve. So I can come in a little lower there. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to mark that spot. Ideally, I'd like it to go straight through the center of the trunk. So that's there. That's my starting point, I believe. I'm going to aim for roughly the middle of the tree. Off by only a hair, so you know, I had the blue dot right there and I came out right there. I'm satisfied with that. I'm gonna have to be, aren't I? As you can see here, the tissue opened up, and then when I pulled the drill back, it closed up again. Now, the very end of this little branch here, he's going to be my guide. Further back, I'm gonna see how much of this I can get through that hole. What I'm doing with the wire is I'm trying to keep the branch from being pulled back out. So I'm going to anchor it to the tree. This is a piece of wire that I folded over at one point. Got a turn and a half or so in the back there, and then came up short here. So I'm just not doing too good on my guesstimates today. Put a little bit of movement in there. Push this down into the hole as best I can. Anytime you break the cambium of a tree, you've introduced pathogens to it. It's just the way it is. You're stuck. So you've got to mitigate that as much as possible. Don't leave wounds open too long. Know why you need to cover a particular wound and why you can let others just dry out. I apologize for the lighting. I did not set this up very well today. This wire did not get its chance to work for me. I hate to see it go to waste like this. But the idea of bending this guy over to there just did not occur to me. And that is just too good of an idea to pass up. I don't want to come any further back than that. I'm going to have to remove the rest of this because all of this down here was meant to hold all of this up here. So actually none of this matters. Okay, I'm marking off sort of a stop points. Making a determination as to how far down do I need to go. So it's going to be before here. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to stop. I don't want to go through this joint here. I don't want to go through that. I might weaken him too much, the structure that holds him. So if I can't get a twist from here to here, then I shouldn't have been doing this. What I want to happen is I want to get this guy in here, go down just a little ways, so that when I come in with this, he can buzz along and not have to make the channel that wide. Trying to keep this as narrow as possible while removing the most material. All right, let's get in there with the ball bit. Okay, how many of you are saying that I should have started here? Because he's getting weaker and I really shouldn't be doing heavy work up here if I've already weakened the base. Get some vet wrap on this. This is a veterinary product. Well, shoot, it's just a general medical product as well. You'll see this on yourself at hospitals. I don't like vet wrap. Why are you using vet wrap? Get your own tree. Why didn't you get raffia? I got vet wrap. I hope I got it enough in there. I didn't feel like taking out any more material though. So now I've got a different tree. You know what? We're changing apexes here, aren't we? Okay, I have twisted that around. I have thread grafted and placed where I think it should go, again and again and again. I am done for all the work that I'm going to be doing on this tree for this year, except for drowning the roots. This tree was harvested 20 years ago. Within a year or two, actually 22 years ago, and within a year or two of that, I had started putting it into a draining tub, punching a hole, as I was told to do after about a year. I would like to fatten up the roots a little bit. I know that all over here, I've got lots of nice growth, and it looks nice in the middle, but this root over here, it's live on the bottom. It's a little difficult to tell exactly where and exactly how. I have some more live root material coming down in the back of here, and then in the back, of course. So what does drowning it do? It causes, and according to my research, this is supposed to be true, you get a decrease in certain plant hormones, but an increase in ethylene, which produces cellulase, which gets in there and forms, if I'm pronouncing the word right, parenchymal tubes. They're going to get in there and feed the roots oxygen in a drowned situation. That's one of the things that happens with waterlogged plants. What that does for us is it causes the tree to swell up because it's handling all of this new cellular structure. Then you take it out of the water and the mass is still there, but it still wants to put another year's growth on it. And then you do it again the following year, drowning the tree, and it has to go through the process of forming air tubes all over again, and it's fattening it up even more. I want to see a little more buttressing just on the base, and I'm not sure if that is going to be detrimental to the tree or not, because it hasn't been drowned in 20 years. So I'm going to drown this other tree back here. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. It's about 10 years younger than the tree in this video. And I am going to drown this tree. This tree has been in a draining pot for quite some time. Perhaps as long as 10 years it's been draining, perhaps as little as 7. But the tree is well adapted to drier soil. And I want to know what happens to this tree, an older tree that hasn't been going through wet, dry cycles. I want to make sure that I don't adversely affect this tree before I put Heartbreaker into a submerged tub. This is a tree that I harvested quite some time ago. As you can see here, it has just completely healed over the cut scar. This is a knee. It's kind of a hoop knee, whereas this one is an honest and for true knee. This is an honest and for true knee here. And then I've got some other things going on over here. That's one reason to drown a tree, is you're trying to get knees. There's one other reason to drown a tree, is you want to fatten up the base. All about the base. Yeah, I can't believe I said that either. This tree did not have very interesting roots. They were much smaller just a year ago when I dug this up. I put it into this restaurant bus tub, and the roots rewarded me fabulously. I'm going to be doing this to several trees, going through wet and dry cycles, fully wet, not fill the pot with water and let it slowly drain away. I want it to be a flood, and then I want the flood to disappear. So I'll be setting this tub down into a larger work tub. This opening here is covering up some dead wood, and that's what I was talking about on today's feature tree, of defining where is the live tissue, where is the dead tissue, and then being able to get in there and treat the dead tissue. And that's why I want to drown the tree. I want to see these roots get fatter. Okay, so that'll do it for this year. As I mentioned, some potential drowning. This is going to be a tree that is not going to take too many more years. I'm going to be defoliating it. If it's feeding it heavy, defoliating it probably in August or late July, and trying to get a second year's growth. When this fattens up, I can remove the back and make a decision probably just to shorten it or remove this branch altogether. It certainly, of course, depends on how well this survives. This could be on here, all this wire, for quite some time to come. Yeah, this is something I've never done before. It's pretty crazy. I kind of like the technique. Now, that's going to do it, and I've got other trees to bring out and work on and produce some other videos. So be sure to subscribe to my channel. Click on the little bell so you get your notifications. I don't publish very often, but when I do, I hope you're going to want to see the videos that I'm putting out there. So thank you for watching. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye. One day, my last words are going to be, I didn't think I needed goggles and gloves for that. Nobody needs PPE, do they? No.